Welcome to Rachel Uncensored, the only place on YouTube that you can find an uncensored version of me. Welcome to a new year. New year, same old little old me. Except I'm not little, I'm very large. And in charge of only myself. I don't know what I'm saying, I'm just ranting. Hi guys! I took last week off, which was the first, but I'm back. I just needed a week to breathe. The holidays got to me. There was a lot. I always go, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it right this year. I'm not going to get stressed. I'm not going to get overwhelmed. I'm going to do things ahead of time. But that doesn't ever work out. Has anyone ever successfully done that? Gone through a whole holiday season, getting things done ahead of time, not stressing about things? That would be crazy. I don't think there's maybe a very, very type A person. But even then, they would end up stressing because they're type A. Okay, anyway. Hi. How's everybody doing? We still have, I know this is, what is this, season 3? 4? 5? 6? 7? Couldn't tell you. But we still have entries from 101 things that piss me off to get through. And then on today's episode, we're going to take an ADHD test. I have never been officially diagnosed. When I was in first grade, the school said, this bitch has ADHD, put her on Ritalin or get her the fuck out. And my mom said, well, I'll get her the fuck out because I don't know anything about Ritalin. Which I'm glad she did. I could not focus and I personally didn't want to be medicated. I still don't. It works for some people, works great for some. A lot of parents have sworn by it. It's helped a lot of people get through school. I'm not hating on ADHD meds. I personally I'm a little natural girl. I don't know. I've heard good things, I've heard bad things, and I think I'm cruising. I think I'm having a pretty successful life here, so I don't feel the need for it. But I got to play in trees. I didn't learn to read till I was 12, though. That might have been a little hiccup. Imagine if I learned to read when I was supposed to. The books I could have read. I could have been a novelist. And yet here I am, ranting about literally nothing on a podcast. Am I a man? Oh my God. Am I a man? I was like, you know what? I can't do anything in life, but let me pick up a microphone and just start saying shit. People will want to hear that. I'm embarrassed. I'm disgusted with myself. Good God. Well, nothing we can do about it now. So let's go to the next entry of my book. Reminder, I wrote this 7-8 years ago. So take it with a grain of salt, if you will. But we are on number 50. That is so wrong. It's 75, not 57. I read numbers backwards sometimes. I don't know. Number 75. You know what pisses me off? The never-ending AC battle in my car. This one still stands. Still does it. Here we go. And it reads. It's a short one, and it reads. I'm too cold with the AC on, but too hot with it off. I can never seem to find that middle sweet spot. Does it even exist? Is it even possible? Am I doomed forever? A very privileged entry, I understand that, but also a relatable one. It's true. This is still a thing that happens. I feel like Abby's always colder than me, or I'm cold, or I'm not cold. I'm hot, but I don't want it touching me. I don't want the AC touching my face. I want the air around me to be cold, but I don't want cold air blowing on me, and I think that's valid. I think I'm not asking too much of anyone. So, someone fix that. Thank you. I have gotten to a point where I put it on my Tesla, at least. There's feet, face, and then just air near the windshield. That one helps. But I also don't feel like it gets all of the air cold. I don't know, guys. I don't know. All right, that's enough for that. Let's move on to this ADHD test. It says screening.mhanation.org. I just typed in ADHD test online. I figured we'd take it together. Hey, maybe you'll get diagnosed too. Or you're like, I actually don't fit that. I thought I had ADHD, but it's something else. Because I have learned everyone loves a self-diagnosis. I feel as though I'm quite a poster child for ADHD. there was no need to get officially diagnosed because I wasn't ever going to get on meds for it. But a lot of it fits me. So this is going to be my diagnosis. And I have learned what I was going to say, but got distracted by my own thoughts. A lot of people with mental health, things are all very similar, which sucks because they all require something a little different. But autism, ADHD, OCD, depression, they all kind of touch in each other's things. It's like a big Venn diagram kind of business. I don't feel I have depression. I don't think I have autism. And I don't really, I guess I don't think I'm OCD. I do repetitions a lot, and I stress if I don't touch the door when I leave, but I'm not going to diagnose myself with OCD. I just really think that's paranoia more than anything else, and trauma. So here we go. Let's get diagnosed. Jump right in. New year. Sad me. Here we go. How often do you have trouble wrapping up the final details of a project? Once the challenging parts have been done. Oh my God. I can't ever. I just talked about this in my vlog. I literally can't finish a project. And that is something I've been trying to do more often. I get everything 80% done, sometimes 40%. Once the goal is kind of shifted, I don't want to do it anymore. Like, it's like, oh, I raked the leaves. I don't want to have to put it in the bin. I don't want to do it. And then take the bin down to the street? Not a chance. But I raked the leaves. I did the main part of the job. I don't want to do the rest. With flooring, I laid the floor. Then I have to put the baseboards on, like the little molding? Okay, fine. But then I have to paint those? No. Okay, so how often do I have trouble wrapping up the final details of a project? I'm going to say very often for that one. And I'm not going to try and sway this. If I truly think that this doesn't apply to me, I will not apply it. Which is one of the hard things about diagnosing people is people lie to themselves and they lie to others. So I've noticed a lot of people are like, yeah, I was talking to my therapist. They say I'm great. I'm like, you have so many fucking issues. What are you talking about? You have to be self-aware in order to truly answer these questions or want to be truthful. It's very complicated, but I'm trying very hard with this. How often do you have difficulty getting things done in order when you have to do a task that requires organizations? Hold on, my reading comprehension's not good. How often do you have difficulty getting things in order when you have to do a task that requires organization? Now, I love organization. Rarely. Getting things in order when the task requires organization. I love organization. I love a list. And I think that's what keeps me on track with a lot of my life. So I'm going to say rarely with that. How often do you have problems remembering appointments or obligations? Oh, well, if I didn't write them down, I would forget. I write everything down. So is this saying just without my list? Because I have so many lists. I have calendars everywhere. It's in my phone. It's in my gym. It's in my office. I even tell Abby things so that I don't forget. If I didn't have any of that, good God, I wouldn't remember anything. I'm going to say sometimes, because even though it's sometimes on my calendar, I still forget. Whoops. But not often, because I write it down. See, does it want me to say if I didn't figure out what works for me? Because I figured out what works for me. Moving on. When you have a task that requires a lot of thought, how often do you avoid or delay getting started? Very often. Oh, if it's daunting, I'm going to wait to the last second to get through it. I'm going to say very often with that. How often do you fidget or squirm with your hands or feet when you have to sit down for a long time? Very often. I'm always playing with something. My hair ties are everywhere because I always take them off my wrists and fiddle with them, and then I leave them places because it's time to get up, so I don't need them anymore. So that's very often. How often do you feel overly active and compelled to do things like you were driven by a motor? Often. Abby gets mad at me because I can't just sit still. She doesn't get mad. She just wishes I would rot with her or relax with her or be calm with her, really. I'll say often. How often do you make careless mistakes when you have to work on a boring or difficult project? Sometimes. I don't really like to make mistakes, but I definitely make them more than I would like. It's not like I'm not trying. It's just, it doesn't keep my attention, I guess. So I'll say sometimes with that. How often do you have difficulty keeping your attention when you are doing boring or repetitive work? Okay, boring work does not keep my attention. Repetitive work, though, I love. I'm not paying attention to it though. Repetitive work, I zone out and I'm going elsewhere in my brain, but I can do repetitive work. It's kind of meditative for me, but I'm in no way paying attention to it. I'm going to say often. I love a puzzle though, because it makes my brain work. Okay, here we go. How often... My throat burped. I did not burp. My throat burped when I went to speak. I don't know if you guys heard that, but it was a weird sensation. It kind of sounded like a frog. Anyway, how long is this test? I don't think it's very long. Oh, it's only 18 questions. Okay. How often do you have difficulty concentrating on what people say to you, even when they are speaking directly to you? I have worked on being a listener. So I'll say rarely, because when I know someone's talking to me, I can engage. I definitely do when they're telling a story, like zone in and out, but I know what they're saying. I'll say sometimes. If I'm having a full-on conversation, I definitely will zone out and then zone back in, but I can figure out what they've said. We'll do that. How often do you misplace or have difficulty finding things at work or at home? Often. I have to constantly ask Abby where things are. I don't see them. Oh my God, I'm a man. I will look in the fridge and not see something that's right in front of my face. I don't like this. I don't like that this episode is just me being a stereotype of a man. This is upsetting to me. How often are you distracted by activity or noise around you? Very often. But I also need a noise around me to focus. I need white noise. And that could be a fan, or it could be a TV show that I know really well. I can't watch a new TV show or that'll distract me. But I need a TV show I've heard before to be playing, because I know what's going on. I can focus on it, but I can focus out. It's really weird. I need something on while I edit, or else I will get very distracted by editing. Like I'll be editing and get distracted and go do something else that's more fun, because editing is boring to me. So I have to have a TV show that I've watched before playing while I edit. So when I get bored of editing, I can kind of focus on the TV a little bit while I'm still editing, and then go back to editing and ignore the TV show, but know what's going on in the TV show. Does that make sense? It does. How often do you leave your seat in meetings or other situations in which you are expected to remain seated? Never. When I know I'm supposed to stay seated, I seat myself. I'm going to say never. How often do you feel restless or fidgety? Sometimes. Because I've learned to go on my phone if I'm feeling restless. With this though, I figured out ways to manage things. So I don't feel a lot of these a lot, because I've just been masking or coping. How often do you have difficulty unwinding and relaxing when you have time to yourself? Often. That's what I'm like. If I have time to myself, I'm like, great, time to get things done. I rested on the bed with Abby in the middle of the day for 15 minutes. And later I bragged about it to my friend. I was like, oh my God, I finally got time to relax today. I laid on the bed and hung out with Abby. It was great. And Abby goes, it was 15 minutes. You sat still for 15 minutes. I was like, yeah, that's a big deal. It was for me. How often do you find yourself talking too much when you're in social situations? Often. But I have been, and I'm going to say sometimes, because I've worked really hard on becoming more of a listener and not talking over people. When you're in a conversation, how often do you find yourself finishing the sentences of the people you are talking to before they can finish them themselves? Very often, I am finishing everyone's sentences. No one can finish a sentence around me because I finished it 10 minutes before they even started the sentence. It's a terrible habit. Because I'm interrupting people when I do it. But I want them to be like, yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. You don't have to finish a sentence. On to the next. I got it. I'm hearing you. I'm listening. I'm paying attention, really. Oof. How often do you have difficulty waiting your turn in situations when turn taking is required? Often. I don't like to wait. I get bored and antsy. I think that's normal, though. No one likes waiting. Just like no one likes sitting in traffic. How often do you interrupt others when they are busy? Often. I'm going to say very often. I walk in that house and interrupt Abby constantly. Oh, okay. Do I have to fucking sign up for something? Okay, who you're taking this? For myself. Age range. 25 to 34. Female. Race and ethnicity. White, non-Hispanic. Household income, you don't know. I live in the United States. In California, you don't get to know anything else. I'm part of the LGBTQ plus community. Man, they really want to know. I am a lesbian. They're getting in on this stuff. I have had therapy. No, I don't want to answer any of that. See results. If I have to fucking sign up for something. Okay, here we go. ADHD likely. Oh, so it's likely that I have ADHD. Your results indicate that you are experiencing some signs of ADHD. These results are not meant to be a diagnosis. You can meet with a doctor or therapist to get a diagnosis and or accept therapy or medications. Sharing these results with someone you trust can be a great place to start. Okay, so I am likely to have ADHD. Now, should I retake that very quickly with how I used to be about 3 years ago? Let's check to see if we have a sponsor while I retake this with who I was 4 years ago before I met Abby. All right, I just retook this. And no matter what you put, well, it says ADHD likely. So I'm going to go back and read. Hold on. Oops. Because it gave me other scores. One second. Okay, so no matter what your score, it says ADHD likely. I mean, if your score is you think you have ADHD, you answered most of the ADHD questions, it says ADHD likely. I'm sure if I put never for all of the answers, it wouldn't come up with that. But it has an overall score of 5 out of 6. This is when I answered truthfully. So my overall score is 5 out of 6. My inattention score is 7 out of 9. And my hyperactivity / impulsivity is 6 out of 9. So that's that. That makes sense. Should we take another one? I kind of want to take it of like, what type of ADHD do I have? Also, I am well aware that doing random quizzes online is not beneficial to anything. I just want to do it, okay? So there's 3 different types of ADHD. Inattentive ADHD. It's characterized by difficulty focusing, impulsivity, restlessness, paying attention, and pop-up happened, and completing tasks. People with inattentive ADHD may seem distracted, forgetful, and disorganized. They often struggle to follow through on instructions and may appear to be not listening when they're being directly spoken to. There's hyperactive, impulsive ADHD. It's marked by excessive physical movement, fidgeting, restlessness, and impulsive behaviors. I feel like that was more of me as a kid. Those with this type of ADHD may have trouble sitting still, interrupting others frequently, and acting without considering the consequences. Except I always think about the consequences before my actions. Like always. Even if I'm intoxicated, I think about it. And then combined ADHD involves a combination of inattentive and hyperactive impulsive symptoms. People with this type of ADHD struggle with issues like difficulty focusing, restlessness, impulsivity, and trouble controlling their behavior. I don't have trouble controlling my behavior. I have trouble controlling the volume of my voice and interrupting other people. But like, I'm not a troublemaker. I don't do things without thinking. I don't get into trouble like that. I feel as though a lot of people with ADHD in their younger years, the hyperactive ones, at least, are always causing problems because they're just doing things out of impulse rather than thinking them through. But I don't feel like that's characterizes me very much. My mom said I was always moving as a kid, but I was never punching people, kicking things over, pushing things down hills. I was just moving. I was restless. Okay, but let's take this little quiz here. Are you easily distracted by external stimuli, often leading to incomplete schoolwork or chores? Or do you find it difficult to stay focused on task, frequently daydreaming or feeling spacey? There's 2. God, my reading comprehension. I was just focusing on how to say it rather than actually doing it or reading, understanding what they were saying. Am I distracted by external stimuli, often leading to incomplete schoolwork or chores? I feel like I'm both. Okay, I daydream a lot, but I don't feel like that's a problem. I'm not spacey. I don't think I'm spacey by any means. I just can't finish a chore for the life of me. Do you seem to be constantly in motion, even when engaged in quiet activities like reading or watching television? Yes. Or do you feel lethargic or sluggish, lacking the energy or motivation to participate in activities? Oh, way more the first part. I'm moving and grooving. Do you frequently lose things necessary for tasks or activities, like toys, school materials, or assignments? Yeah. Or do you often misplace items due to forgetfulness and absent-mindedness? No, the first part. I don't feel I'm forgetful or absent. Oh, no, I am. I'll put things down and not realize. Those two are the same fucking thing. What are you talking about? Do I lose things necessary for tasks or activities? I don't think I lose. I do lose things. Or do I often misplace items due to forgetfulness or absent-mindedness? I think I misplace things a lot. Those things were the exact same fucking thing. They're like, do you lose things or do you misplace things? The fuck? I'm mad at it. Just keep going. Do you have trouble following instructions or completing tasks that require sustained mental effort? I think I follow instructions pretty well if I read them. Or do you often find yourself forgetting instructions or losing track of what you are doing? The second part. I'll forget the instructions. I will forget the instructions. I will read what to do on a recipe 400 times before it registers in my brain what I'm supposed to be doing. Do you notice that you tend to act before thinking about what the consequences are? Or do you often hesitate or slow to respond, appearing indecisive? The second part. I'm not impulsive, to my knowledge. Are you prone to interrupting others or intruding on their conversation or activities? Yes. Or do you find yourself tuned out or unaware of social cues, often missing your turn in the group activities? Nah, first part. If we're doing group activity, I'm in it to win it, y'all. Do you struggle to play or engage in activities quietly? Or do you find yourself feeling disinterested or detached? Preferring solitary activities over group play? Do I struggle to play or engage in activities quietly? Yeah, I don't do things quietly. I'm singing my way through life. Psh. What's quiet? Do you often blurt out answers before questions have been completed? Yes. Or do you have difficulty waiting your turn in conversations? Yes. Or games? Yes. Or do you find yourself struggling to actively engage in conversations and feeling forgetful or distracted? The first part. I engage just fine. Are you frequently on the go? What a question here. Are you frequently on the go as if driven by a motor, even in situations when it's inappropriate or unnecessary? Or do you often find yourself in your thoughts and struggling to pay attention to your surroundings? The first part. I'm aware of what's going on around me at all times. I pick up on them social cues, baby. Do you often find yourself having difficulty staying seated, frequently fidgeting or squirming in your seat? Or do you often catch yourself drifting off into daydreams and having trouble focusing on tasks? Both. But I'm focused on my tasks. I focus on them. I just don't complete them. I just move on to something else. I'll say the first part. Let's see what it says. Drumroll, please. I likely have hyperactive ADHD, which is what I've always said. If you're interested in exploring this further, we suggest speaking to a psychologist, psychiatrist, or neuropsychologist. This information is not meant to diagnose or treat and should not take place of personal consultation as needed with a qualified healthcare provider and or BCBA. I got 7 out of 10. Okay, guys, I think that concludes. I have hyperactive ADHD. What was my other one? I was 7 out of 9 of the hyperactive, but 8 out of 9 and inattentive. Inattention. Should we see if I have other things? Mental health quizzes. This is not supposed to be offensive by any means. This is literally just me being like, let's take things. Maybe it'll spark something in you. Because people don't realize this. Like the good Lord, Billie Eilish once said, birds of a feather flock together. So you may think, because I definitely did for a long time, like everyone feels this way. All of my friends, all of my family, we all do this thing. It's because, once again, birds of a feather flock together. Those who are similar usually attract others that are similar. Abby has said or asked, why do all of your friends have ADHD? I'm so confused. Because we're drawn to one another. Colleen, Jojo, Joy, we're all at the same level. We understand each other. Our quirks don't bug one another because we either do them or get why they're happening. And so for a long time, I didn't realize a lot of the things I was doing were linked to my ADHD because I thought everyone just did them. And then all of my feed on TikTok is people that are like, oh, this because of ADHD. I'm like, no, everyone does that. And then my friends, because Abby has a lot of friends that don't have ADHD because she doesn't have it, and she attracts people in her life that don't have it. I love being with her because we balance one another and it's beautiful. But I've noticed, I'm like, your friends don't do this and all of my friends do it. And it's because they all attract people similar to them and my group attracts people similar to us. And then we come together and we make one giant fucking fun party. So doing these tests, I'm not trying to be insensitive or downgraded or whatever, because a lot of people struggle. I have learned as women get older and they don't treat their ADHD and it's not recognized in them, it can lead to depression and OCD and anxiety because they're spending their whole life trying to mask and fit in and do all these things that it creates a bundle of just inside of them. So this again is not diagnosing anyone. It's just maybe opening your eyes to things. Joy said she didn't realize she had ADHD until she met me. And then she went, oh, because again, all of the people in her life acted that way, and then people that didn't were annoyed by her, or she was annoyed by them, and she didn't understand why. And she's like, oh, now I get it. And it's kind of validating. To understand yourself a little bit more means you can help yourself a little bit more and give yourself grace in areas that you kept getting mad that you were failing in. So anyway, let's take a mental health test. Let's do an anxiety test, because I don't feel I have anxiety. There are people with chronic anxiety, and I just don't feel like I have that, because sometimes I'll do things and people be like, well, that's your anxiety. I was like, I don't feel anxious. I don't feel anxious. Do I have anxiety that I'm not paying attention to? Let's deep dive. Over the last 2 weeks, how often have you been bothered by the following problems? Feeling nervous, anxious, or on edge? Not at all. Not being able to stop or control worrying? Worrying about what? No. What is there to worry about? Worrying too much about different things? No. Trouble relaxing? Oh, I have a lot of, every day I have trouble relaxing. Being so restless that it's hard to sit still? More than half the days. Becoming easily annoyed or irritable? No. Feeling afraid as if something awful might happen? In the last 2 weeks? No. A couple of days. Some days, but it's like we go on a hike with one of the dogs and I'm scared mountain lion's going to come eat them, but it's not overwhelming me. It's just like a thought I have. I'm like, we should grab an air horn to go on this hike, but it's not, I was bothered by it. I'll say I'm bothered by it. Next. I'm not answering all of these things. View results. I have mild anxiety. I scored a 6 out of 21. Your result indicates that you may be experiencing some signs of mild anxiety. I don't believe it. I'll believe the ADHD one, but not this one. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for today. Maybe this has opened your eyes about ADHD, anxiety, understanding others. I think mental health is a fun little topic to dive into. It is also a very scary topic to dive into. I just feel I've been able to manage mine well for now. We'll see as I get older. Apparently it gets worse. Looking forward to it. Neato mosquito. Okay, guys, but that's it. It's a solo episode. It's the first one back, so we're going short. We're doing our little thing here. Just a heads up, Colleen and I did restart SAS. Oh, I just kicked my camera. We just did restart SAS, so if you want to check out our Patreon, we are posting every Monday. We've already filmed 2. First one's out. I think it's a banger. We were really funny and then talked about really serious discussions. So if you want to check out, links below. Also, I'm doing a new format over on my main channel where I am long-term testing one product for each video. I just posted one where I did a month-long hair mask routine. Next one up, I think, is teeth whitening and then a posture corrector. I'm doing a snout ointment for Snoop. I'm doing an LED mask. I'm doing laser hair removal at home. I'm doing an eyebrow growth serum. I'm doing it all. So go check out my main channel. I'm still vlogging Monday. I post Monday through Fridays, and I'm starting to post on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, and YouTube Shorts again. So please check out everything. The links for everything are below. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for being a listener. I appreciate you. And if there's anything you want to see or hear on this podcast this season, please let me know down below. I'm here to entertain you. I'm down to talk about whatever. Let's get into it. Let's get dirty. Let's get down to the business. And yeah, I'll have Joy on next week. Don't worry. She's coming over tomorrow to film. I love you guys. Thank you for listening to this episode of Rachel Uncensored, the only place on the internet where you can find the uncensored version of me, Rachel Ballinger. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like, subscribe, or follow, or do whatever this platform tells you to do so that you can get notified every time I post a new episode. Love ya!